Oh, boy, there they are. They respectfully disrespect me. I like that, though. Welcome back to Sunday Sound Off, our first hot topic of the night. How do you grade the Chiefs in free agency? TJ.
This is hard. I think if you have to give them an overall grade, I think you should give them an A, but with an asterisk. I think they made a lot of really good moves. They manipulated the cap well. The problem here is not the players they acquired, it's the sloppiness with which a lot of this stuff happened. And I know that the loss of the third-round pick goes back a ways to some tampering charges, but all in all being packaged, it seemed like free agency was just done sloppily. They could have saved themselves $4 million by restructuring Tom Bahali's contract before the clause in it dictated that it expire, and have $4 million count against the cap. Now, that money's already been spent, but the reality of it is that you didn't have to have $4 million of it count against the cap this year. And so I feel like a lot of it, and this is the thing with Andy Reid and John Dorsey, is that they make a lot of really good decisions. They do a lot of things the right way, but I just wish that they would take some things like this into consideration and be less sloppy with it.
Blair.
Yeah, I agree that the Hali financial thing was inexcusable, but I'm also going to give him an overall passing grade. I think if you applied a sort of a college GPA toward the free agent acquisitions and the players re-signed, it would come out pretty well. I gave it a 3.5.
Nice.
That's close to honor roll, isn't it?
That's Dean's list.
So not too bad. I really like the Mitchell Schwartz signing. You know, he's the best tackle in the locker room right now. I really like that. And who they brought back, you know, Derek Johnson was essential. Eric Berry for the locker room. I like both of those. Jay Howard, probably one that flies under the radar a little bit. Really like the fact that they brought those guys back.
Saran?
I'm going to give him a C. I'm not impressed. And it's hard to just take it in one offseason because this offseason is something that depends upon what you did last offseason, the offseason before. You know, they're still digging out of the hole of the Dwayne Bowe contract. You know, last year they had to backload all these contracts because they had to carry all his dead money. $23 million in dead money meant $32 million in raises to this year's cap. They couldn't do it the way the Denver Broncos did it with front-loading money. They weren't able to do it. So no 1 year stands in and of itself. But if you ask me to do just this year and put a grade on just this year, I'll say a C. The Tom Bahali thing is an embarrassment that you can't get that done beforehand. Either Tom Bahali is a jerk for not getting it done 3 days earlier and helping the team out cap-wise, or they're incompetent in not getting it done at that point. And then I'll go you a step further. Not only that, a third and sixth round pick, which we know they lost because of tampering, which is part of this offseason. It happened last year, but the penalty came down this offseason. Then they've conveniently simply hid and been nowhere to be found. A quick little release by Clark Hunt, and then everybody else just hides behind that release. That's Bush League. If you're going to talk when you're winning, you got to talk when you're screwing things up. And that's what they've done, and all they've done is hide. I'm sorry, C at best.
Here's our second hot topic of the evening about the Chiefs as well. The NFL hammered the Chiefs for that tampering. Fair or too harsh? Blair?
As far as we know, fair, I've got to say, and disappointing. You know, Seren just mentioned it. He's absolutely right. I'm really disappointed in Andy Reid and John Dorsey for allowing this to happen, and we don't really know what happened. All we got was the release from Clark Hunt. I'd like to know more about this. It seems to me, look, tampering happens. It absolutely happens. Now, to the degree that the Chiefs tampered to give up a third and to surrender a third and a sixth-round pick, there must have been some pretty bad stuff going on there. I'd like to know what it was. And look, a third-round pick that's just terrible.
Sounds like hot tub time machine there, Saran.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'd say. Like, what have they done wrong? I've said this a couple of different times. I don't really know if it's fair or not. I know it's uncharacteristic of the NFL to come down this hard. It's the most strict penalty they've handed out for a tampering situation. So the Chiefs must have done something worse than anybody's ever done. That's what I've said all along. You mentioned a hot tub. What was it? John Dorsey, Andy Reid, and Macklin in a hot tub drinking Cristal and then taking selfies with the contract right next to them like 3 weeks in advance. Like, what did you do to have by far the strictest penalty ever? It must have been so incompetent that you just can't even get your arms around it. So, yeah, I want to know what they did. It better be something fantastic.
That's a bad visual. TJ, go ahead.
I mean, I don't know how it had to have been bad, or it just maybe Roger Goodell was in a bad mood. We don't really know. Maybe the Goodell bot was short-circuiting on this one, and it just decided he wanted to punish the Chiefs for some reason. I don't really know what I am curious to see how much Doug Peterson was involved because I don't know if he could have made an anonymous phone call about something and given up somebody. I'm not sure, but I do know that it had to have been bad, or it had to have been somebody in a bad mood, or somebody on the inside to turn him over, because it doesn't seem like they're fighting this, at least it's not as stringently as they could be. And obviously they're going to lose their third-round pick because there's not enough time for the appeals process to take its course, if they're even capable of appealing it in the next 7 weeks or so.
All right, here's our final hot topic. Who should play second base for the Royals? Soren.
Well, it should be Omar Infante. You're paying him enough money. He needs to be the guy if you're going to give him the kind of cash that they're giving to him. I don't know that he will be the guy by the end of the year. Look, he's in better shape because he's been healthier in the offseason. I talked to some folks down in Arizona when I was there, and they said he was able to do his complete upper body workout routine during the spring, and they think he's going to be stronger, and that'll show in his offensive play. He's a solid defensive second baseman. I think he's got the most pop in his bat. He can deliver the most extra base pop of anybody they've got right now. Eventually, Raul Mondesi might be that guy to play at second base until he eventually takes over at shortstop for Escobar. But right now, it needs to be Infante for this team to be as good as it possibly can.
TJ?
I don't want to make too big of a deal out of this because it's a spring training stat, but as of Saturday, Omar Infante and Christian Colon were combined 0 for 26 from the plate. Literally any other number would be better than that. 0 is the absolute worst you can be. So it's early. I get that you would like to see Omar Infante be better. There's no question about that. But it seems like right now Raul Mondesi's making some strides. I hope that he makes enough strides to where they have to seriously consider it. But it will be Omar Infante opening day.
Blair, 20 seconds.
That offer is over. Omar Infante got a base hit today. So second base has produced for the Royals.
No, he's a second baseman.
That's right. There it is. It's going to be Omar Infante. Christian Colon brings value as a utility infielder. Raul Mondesi will be up at the end of the year. Whit Merrifield's someone to keep an eye on, though. He is a super utility prospect for the Royals.
Okay, up next, we're going to get some final thoughts from the panel. It's their time to sound off on anything that's on their minds. You're watching Sunday Sound Off.